Hello, I'm Jonathan Marchal, Director of Education here at the North Carolina Arboretum, and I'd like to invite you to join us in the 2021 City Nature Challenge. So what is the City Nature Challenge? The City Nature Challenge is a bioblitz, and a bioblitz is an occasion where people from all over an area gather, have lots of background in science or none at all, and they are focused on documenting as many living organisms as possible in a particular area. So since the City Nature Challenge is a worldwide bioblitz, we'll be joined by nature enthusiasts not only here in the Asheville area in western North Carolina, but also across the state of North Carolina and even all across the world. April 30th through May 3rd, 2021. Since the Arboretum is the lead institution for Team Western North Carolina in the City Nature Challenge, we're particularly interested in seeing if you here in the mountains of North Carolina can help us in documenting all the amazing biodiversity our area has to offer. If you're joining us from outside of Western North Carolina, you can still participate. All counties in North Carolina are represented by an institution as part of this effort. And so if you go to nccitynaturechallenge.com, you can learn more about your particular area. If you're outside of North Carolina, then find out more at citynaturechallenge.org. So how do you join? Well, I'm going to share with you how to use iNaturalist, which is a mobile app that you can use to document the biodiversity that you find around yourself and even find out how to use it as a helpful tool to identify plants, animals, and other life. And I'm going to give you a little demonstration today about how you can use that free resource. So you may not need to go all that far from home to be able to make observations of plants and animals. If you have a porch light, you may want to check that out in the evening or even the following morning and see if moths or other nocturnal insects have come to visit. Also, just look at all the trees, wildflowers, things that are growing near you. Now, we do want to refrain from posting observations of, houseplants or pets or farm animals because the scientists, of course, are interested in the biodiversity of wild life in the area. So let's stick with those. Now, over here, we happen to have North Carolina state flower. I know what this one is, and maybe you do too, the flowering dogwood. Now, with iNaturalist, it is far better to be vague than incorrect. So I could look at this and call it a flowering dogwood, and that's correct. I could call it a flowering plant, and that is correct as well, even though it's a little vague. So don't be afraid of just giving the information you have. Don't feel like you have to have the correct species to be able to upload something. Because once you add your observation to iNaturalist, it gets its own web page, and other users of iNaturalist, some of which are professional scientists, are going to be able to see that observation and either agree with what you've added, refine it if you've added sort of a general category, flowering plants to dogwood, flowering dogwood, or they may disagree with what you have, which is all part of the scientific method. If so, if there's a disagreement, whatever the top pick of all the observers and all of the identifiers have, whatever that top pick is, that's what it's going to be recognized as. If you have two identifications of a particular organism, that's qualified as research grade, and that's what the scientists will be able to utilize. Now, when I'm out and about, if I find an organism that will allow me to get close, I often use my phone to be able to take photographs. However, I also like to take pictures of songbirds and other things that maybe are not all that tolerant of me getting close. So in those cases, I do typically use my DSLR camera with a zoom lens. When I do that, I of course can't use the mobile app. What I do is I use the iNaturalist.org website to be able to do the uploads, which works a lot like what I'm about to show you using the mobile app. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my photograph, because typically when I'm using iNaturalist, I'm not actually actively using the app. What I'll usually do is get a nice close-up that includes some detail, in this case the flowers. It's also a good idea to take a step back from a large organism so you can get the entire thing in the frame. So now I have two observations, or two photographs of that one organism, and when I get back home, I'll go ahead and upload it. But if you have decent internet connectivity and would like to upload from the field, you can do that as well. What I'll do is I open my iNaturalist app, which looks a little different if you're using the Android version, but it works very, very similarly. I go up close again, and I'm going to use the app itself to take the photograph. Now, I've already given my iNaturalist app permission to access my photo gallery. It may ask you to do that the first time you do it. I'm going to get in close and take that photograph, making sure I'm not getting other people's faces or my face in there. We want to be able to identify the plant, not your friends. And so we're going to take a photograph in the app. And there we go. We'll now hit next. I could choose that plus sign right there to take an additional photograph. And when I'm happy with that, I can put on my identification. If I know what it is, I'll click that and be able to type in the name, and it should auto-populate. But I could also touch that screen, and if I have decent enough internet connectivity, it will give me some suggestions based off of the visual recognition technology that iNaturalist utilizes. So by you adding photographs of a flowering dogwood like this one, your photographs will help other people identify their flowering dogwood photographs. Aside from that, you want to make sure that the date and time are correct, and you want to make sure the location is correct. I have geoprivacy set as open because I'm at a public place here at the Arboretum. However, if this tree were at my house and I didn't want to share my own location, I can select obscured. That way the information is still available for the scientists, but it's not available for the general public. If you want an added level of security, you can select private as your option. Now, it does give you the option for choosing a project, but just by putting in your observation during the City Nature Challenge, which is, of course, April 30th to May 3rd, it will automatically get synced up to our project, City Nature Challenge 2021 Western NC. That will enable you to keep track and keep up with all of the observations that are being placed during the City Nature Challenge. And there's also a leaderboard. And so if you're interested in maybe a little friendly competition, you can find out if you're one of the top observers in our region. Our generous community partners will be giving away Naturalist prize packages for the top 3 observers of particular organisms, so species, but then also top 3 overall observations. So keep an eye on those leaderboards to see if you might be one of our lucky winners. If you're interested in learning more about the City Nature Challenge and how to use iNaturalist, you can join our free by donation Introduction to the City Nature Challenge in iNaturalist online adult education course. For more details and to register ahead, please visit ncarboretum.org and click the Education tab to find our adult education offerings. If you happen to take that class and also participate in the City Nature Challenge, we will mail you a free North Carolina bioblitz patch. You may have younger people in your lives that maybe also enjoy getting outside and finding flowers and butterflies and lizards. If that's the case, please point them in the direction of ecoexplore.net. That is our youth citizen science initiative that started here at the North Carolina Arboretum but has moved statewide. And by doing that, they can also participate in the City Nature Challenge and earn a special bioblitz badge. I hope you'll consider joining all the fun we're going to have April 30th through May 3rd, getting outside and exploring and celebrating all of the wonderful biodiversity that Western North Carolina has to offer. Thank you, and I hope to see you outside.